I was the one
Subscribe
who
to the
threw her
channel.
40th birthday party, booked the venue, ordered her favorite lemon cake, even invited that one cousin she used to hate but is totally fine with now. Her only job was to show up and smile. And she did. For the photos, at least. In public, she was all soft giggles and, "I can't believe you did all this." But I saw it. The flicker. That half-second delay before the hug. The eyes that scanned the room before landing on mine. Like she was expecting someone else to be standing next to the balloons. But I played dumb. That's always step one. Play dumb until it's time to flip the board. We'd been married 13 years. Met in high school. Married young. Stayed local. I took over my dad's old garage when he retired. She bounced around a few nursing jobs. Eventually landed part-time at the urgent care in town. Flexible hours. Weekend shifts. Just enough to keep me busy, she used to say. I bought it. For a while. We weren't flashy. No big vacations, no new cars. She always said, "Let's save. For retirement. For something real." So I did. I saved. Every month. Stocked away cash like a squirrel with OCD. She wanted to travel. Said she was sick of cold winters. Wanted to see trees that didn't just die every November. Someday, she'd say, we'll wake up in a cabin in Oregon or Asheville or wherever, and we'll have coffee looking out over the mountains. Sounded nice. Until her birthday. That was when everything cracked. The party had just wrapped. Everyone gone. The cake half-mauled, balloons sagging. We were in the kitchen, and her best friend, Lindsay, came over to grab her purse. She was tipsy, wine teeth, loose lips. She leaned in and said, "I'm so jealous. You're gonna have so much fun in Asheville." Now here's the thing. I hadn't heard a damn word about Asheville. Not a text, not a hint, not a single. "Hey, what do you think about a quick trip?" So I smiled and said, "We are. Can't wait. And my wife. Let's call her Jen." She froze for half a second, then laughed. "She means next year. It's a girl thing." Lindsay blinked. "Oh, right. Next year. Of course." They both looked like kids caught writing on the walls. I poured another drink. Didn't say a word. Because that was the moment I knew. It wasn't just a trip. It was a lie. You don't accidentally forget to mention you're going to Asheville with someone. Especially not right after your husband throws you a party with 40 guests and a custom cake shaped like a nurse's scrubs. You don't forget that. So I started watching. Quietly. Not like the guys in movies. No tailing, no burner phones. Just patterns. She got a little too smiley when texting. Started leaving her phone face down on the table. Said she had extra shifts on the weekend, even though the urgent care closed at 8 p.m. And the kicker? She suddenly wanted to visit her cousin in Charlotte the weekend after her birthday. Alone. I nodded. "You deserve it." She kissed my cheek. "You're such a good man." I smiled. Have fun. Because I'd already made my plan. Sunday morning, I got in my truck. Left before sunrise. Packed a thermos of coffee, an old ball cap, and a hunch. I'd never been to Asheville, but I'd seen enough Instagram posts to know the kind of place she'd pick. Cute. Cozy. Bougie with a side of pine-scented lies. It took 5 hours. I drove slow. Thought about a lot of things. How she used to call me her solid one. How she'd laugh when I told her I didn't need a passport, that everything I loved was already here. How she used to look at me like I was home. I parked outside a lodge that looked like it had been designed by a candle company. And there she was, walking hand in hand with a guy in a white robe. His hair was slicked back. He had that smug, clean look of a man who doesn't own a shovel. They were laughing. Her head tilted toward his chest. His hand on the small of her back like he'd paid for it. She wore the necklace I got her last Christmas. Said it reminded her of our first trip to the mountains. They disappeared behind a door, and I sat in my truck for a full minute. Didn't blink. Didn't flinch. Just filed the image away. Then I drove home. Didn't rage. Didn't cry. Just got to work. Because you know what the best thing is about being the dependable one? You're always the last person they see coming. When I got home, I fed the dog, made a sandwich, and logged into every joint account we had. Not out of anger. Out of efficiency. This wasn't about punishing her. It was about finishing the story she started and making sure I was the one writing the last chapter. Our finances were simple. That was always the deal. I earned, she planned. I ran the shop, paid the bills. She handled the retirement savings, the travel brochures, the someday. But someday got here faster than she thought. And I wasn't sharing it with a guy in a spa robe. First, I pulled up the business registration. Moran and Sons Auto Repair. even though I'm the only son and have no kids. It was in both our names. That had been her idea, back when we thought love meant mixing everything down to the bank routing number. But I'd anticipated this a long time ago. See, I'd never transferred the actual ownership paperwork. Not fully. She signed as co-owner on the DBA, but the LLC? That was mine. A little technicality she never noticed. Probably because she was too busy planning someday. So I called my sister Rachel. Want the shop? She thought I was joking. I wasn't. Rachel had worked with me on and off, part-time bookkeeper, handled payroll when I broke my hand last year. Smart. Quiet. Tougher than me when she needed to be. I trusted her. You're sure? She asked. Paperwork's already drafted, I said. You get 100% ownership. I just want to keep working in the back. She paused. You're serious? Dead. She came by the next day. Signed the docs. I filed the ownership transfer, backdated to the beginning of the quarter. Effective immediately, Jennifer Moran no longer had claim to anything with a lift bay or tire iron. Next stop, bank accounts. We had one joint checking, one joint savings, and a personal account each. The joint ones were used for bills, groceries, and the mythical retirement fund. I didn't clean them out. I'm not petty. But I did move 90% of the savings into my personal account and rerouted all incoming payments from the shop into my own. Then I called the bank and removed her as an authorized signer. She'd find out soon enough. Locks were next. My buddy Dave runs a mobile locksmith van, same model as mine, except he makes a killing off people who lose their keys at gas stations. He owed me a favor. By Sunday night, every lock in the house was changed. Front door, back door, garage, even the mailbox. I left the key under her potted plant, the same one she always forgot to water. That night, I packed her things. Not all of them. I'm not heartless. Just enough. Just what she'd need to understand that her life didn't live here anymore. Clothes, toiletries, the extra charger she always stole from my nightstand. And on the bed, a folder. Inside, divorce papers, bank statements, business reassignment documents, a printed screenshot of her holding hands with Robe Guy, and a full-color road map of Asheville with a red circle around the lodge. No note. She didn't deserve one. The only words I left were at the top of the divorce packet. Happy birthday. I opted for early retirement too. Then I took the dog, got in my truck, and drove to Rachel's spare room. That's where I slept that night. Dreamless. 3 days passed before I got a call. Blocked number. I picked up. You locked me out of the house. Her voice was high, brittle, like a cracked windshield about to give way. I didn't respond. Mike, what the hell is this? The accounts are empty. I can't access anything. Are you trying to ruin me? I finally spoke. No, Jen. You did that yourself. I'm just turning off the lights. She launched into a rant. How this was unfair, how I overreacted, how I didn't give her a chance to explain. That last part made me laugh. I saw you, Jen. In Asheville. Holding his hand. Silence. You followed me. I drove. You lied. Big difference. She went quiet again. Then, soft. It didn't mean anything. That's the part that finally makes sense. I hung up. I got a text an hour later. I can't believe you're throwing away 13 years. I didn't reply, because I wasn't throwing it away. I was preserving what was left of it, by making sure it didn't rot. Word got around town eventually. Small towns don't need newspapers. We've got barber shops and church parking lots. Someone saw her coming back, pounding on the door. Someone else saw her at the bank trying to withdraw cash. The rumors grew faster than dandelions. I kept my head down, worked the bays, tuned up a '98 Ford Ranger like it was therapy. Rachel handled the front desk now. She was polite to Jen when she called the shop. Polite, but brief. No, he's not here. No, I don't take messages. No, he's not going to return your call. It was over. But she didn't get it yet. Not until the mail came. The thing about betrayal is, it never feels real to the one who caused it. They think they're the exception. That love will fog the lens forever. That if they cry hard enough or act confused enough, the past 5 years of slow detachment will vanish with a sorry. Jen wasn't built for consequences. She was built for praise. She grew up the youngest of 3, the only girl, raised on compliments and softballs. Not a bad person. Just someone who'd never been truly told no without a chaser of apologies. So when I finally said no, not with words, but with locked doors, vanished bank balances, and a folder on the bed, it shattered her script. The first week, She tried disbelief. Called my sister. Called our mutual friends. Tried to get sympathy, little alliances. She's got nowhere to go, Rachel told me one night. She's staying at Lindsay's for now. Fitting. Birds of wine-drunk feather. I didn't react. Not because I didn't care, but because I'd already done all the caring. Now I was just watching gravity work. It didn't take long for her to go from confused to entitled. Second week, she started emailing. The first was titled, "Can we please talk?" The body was empty. No text. Just the subject line and an attached photo of us at Niagara Falls. Smiling. My hand on her shoulder. Her eyes, well, I looked at them longer than I should have. And then I deleted it. She tried again 2 days later. I just want to know why. As if I hadn't left an Asheville brochure and divorce papers like breadcrumbs on the bedspread. I didn't answer that one either. She called a few more times. Left voicemails that tried different tactics. One sounded heartbroken. One sounded furious. One sounded like she was reading from a script titled, "How to Guilt a Spouse into Undoing Everything." But my favorite was the text she sent after her third attempt to get into the house. "You are being cruel. I gave you the best years of my life, and you repay me like this." I read it 3 times. Then I replied, "No, I repaid you with a business, a home, and a future. You gave those away for a weekend robe and a mountain view." No answer. That was when the second phase of reality set in. She still thought she'd find a way back. That if she showed up sad enough, small enough, I'd hand her a key and say, "Let's forget about it." But people don't get to move back into a life they burned down. Especially not when they torched it behind your back. Week 3, she tried legal threats. I got a letter from a local attorney, not one of the high-end ones. Just a guy with an office above a vape shop downtown. The letter demanded access to the home, half the value of the business, and equitable division of liquid marital assets. I handed it to my lawyer and said, "Start the engines." He filed a counter motion, noting the pre-existing LLC ownership, documenting her voluntary abandonment of marital residence, highlighting photographic and digital evidence of infidelity, and requesting a no-contact clause pending divorce finalization. She didn't see that coming, because up until now, she thought I'd always play fair. But she forgot. I'm a mechanic. I fix what's broken. And when something can't be fixed, I strip it for parts and rebuild from scratch. The morning after the court motion was filed, she called. No intro. Just, "You think this is funny?" I stayed silent. "You're seriously gonna ruin my life over a weekend?" I let that hang in the air for a second, then said, "You had a year's worth of weekends before that. You just chose to spend them lying to me. You can't just erase me." "I didn't erase you, Jen. I filed you." That was the last time we spoke directly. From there, everything ran through attorneys. Emails, filings, mediation attempts. She fought like someone clinging to a raft in a storm. Desperate, irrational, angry at the water more than herself. And then the mail arrived. One envelope. From the state pension board. See, what Jen hadn't thought about was how being removed from the joint financial plan affected her early retirement plans. Turns out, when you claim you're going part-time to ease into semi-retirement, and then you quit your job to go live with your cousin temporarily, the system starts asking questions. Her employer had flagged her benefits account as voluntarily abandoned, which meant no medical bridge, no partial pension, and without the joint income buffer from me, no early retirement. She'd have to wait until 65. Minimum. The irony? I'd always told her not to count on a system that wasn't built for honesty. She'd smile and say, "Don't be such a pessimist. We're solid." Solid, huh? That day, she sent one more email. Subject, "Please. I'm sorry. It was longer than usual." Rambling, frantic. She said she'd made a mistake. Said she didn't know why she did what she did. Blamed boredom. Blamed hormones. Blamed Asheville. She asked if we could meet for coffee. Said she just wanted to understand where things went wrong. I didn't reply, because I understood perfectly. Things didn't go wrong. She just thought I'd never notice. She thought she could build her exit quietly while I kept the lights on. But I'm not a fool. And I'm not her foundation anymore. I'm the guy who watched the house fall, then sold the land under it. Desperation has a smell. It's not always dramatic. It's not roses and cigarette smoke or perfume trying too hard. No, it's subtle. Stale coffee breath. Hair that's been washed but not styled. A blouse that looks like it was folded in someone else's drawer for too long. Jen showed up at the shop on a Wednesday. Didn't call. Didn't text. Just walked in during lunch rush, like she was delivering cookies to her husband's workplace. Except she didn't have cookies. She had a look, that lost, slippery kind where pride is still hanging by one string but the rest of Annette's already torn open. Rachel was behind the counter. I was in Bay 2 replacing the brakes on an old F-150. She's here, Rachel said flatly into the intercom. Want me to bounce her? No, I said, wiping my hands on a rag. Let her speak. I stepped into the front like a courtroom bailiff. She turned when she heard the boots. Eyes watery, hands clutching her bag like it was the last piece of furniture on a sinking deck. Hi, she said. I didn't say anything. Can we talk? Please. I looked past her, out to the parking lot. A silver Camry I didn't recognize. Probably borrowed. Rachel folded her arms behind the counter, watching like a hawk that already knew how this would go. Outside, I said. She followed me into the sun. It was too bright for this kind of conversation, the kind where shadows should hide things better than they do. I didn't know where else to go, she said. I waited. I tried to get a job back at the clinic. They said no. They said the position was filled and that I burned bridges when I left. Sounds about right. And Lindsay, she's got her own issues now. She says her husband's getting suspicious. Not my problem. I know that. She looked away, blinking hard. I screwed up. Okay. I know that now. I do. Still, I said nothing. You were good to me. Better than I deserved. And I thought, maybe, if we could just talk, maybe we could start something over. Different this time. Real. Her eyes were pleading. Mine were tired. How's Asheville? I asked finally. She flinched like I slapped her. Over, she said. It was stupid. It didn't last. I came back and everything was just gone. That's what happens when you treat a home like a hotel. She looked down. Her voice cracked. I didn't think you'd ever really leave. I didn't leave, Jen. You did. I just followed through. Silence stretched. Her breath hitched once. Twice. Then she tried again. I have nothing left, she said. No savings. No job. I'm staying at a motel on Route 12. My credit cards are frozen. I don't even have health insurance right now. And I said, no sarcasm. Just stillness. I need help, she whispered. That was it. The line she never thought she'd have to say. I looked at her for a long moment, then pulled my keys out of my pocket and tossed them in the air, catching them lazily. You remember what you told me a year ago? I asked. On your birthday? She blinked. What? You said you were done wasting time on things that don't bring you joy. Remember that? She did. Her mouth opened slightly, a half-formed apology stuck in the back of her throat. I leaned in slightly. I took it to heart, I said. Turns out, wasting time on you stopped bringing me joy a long time ago. She didn't cry. I think she wanted to. But it was like the well was finally dry. I get it, she said, nodding slowly. I get it. I nodded once. Good. Then I turned and walked back into the shop. She didn't follow. Rachel raised an eyebrow as I came through the door. Well, she's at that motel out by the grain silos. She's staying long? Doubt it, I said. The rest of the day passed like any other. Oil changes. Brake jobs. A guy with a classic Corvette that needed new gaskets and a reality check. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I regretted anything. I didn't. But because I realized something. She had to hit bottom before she could understand what she broke. And if that meant a motel room with nothing but fluorescent light and broken dreams, so be it. By week's end, her attorney had gone quiet. No more filings. No more emails. She must have finally told him she had no more money. The divorce finalized 3 weeks later. Uncontested. Finalized with a judge's scribble and a 3-minute Zoom call where neither of us turned our cameras on. After that, she vanished again. I heard whispers. That she moved to a different state. That she was trying to work at a retail pharmacy. That she was staying with some distant cousin, not the one from Asheville. I didn't care. But I did keep one thing. A calendar reminder. Her birthday. 1 year later. Just in case. Because I had a little surprise planned of my own. 1 year later, almost to the day, my phone rang. It was 9:06 p.m. I'd just finished closing up the shop. Rachel was already gone. I was locking the bay door, about to head out for a late steak and some quiet whiskey. Number came up unknown. Local area code. I let it ring twice. Then picked up. I already knew who it was. Hey, she said. Quiet. Hesitant. That stretched voice people use when they're asking for something they know they don't deserve. I said nothing. I didn't know if you'd answer. Still said nothing. I didn't want to bother you. I didn't know who else to call. Click of a cigarette lighter in the background. Or maybe a vending machine. Hard to say. I'm at the Red Maple Motel off 41. I've been staying here a few days. I lost the last job. Pharmacy gig didn't work out. She gave a little laugh that almost sounded like crying. They said my references didn't check out. Or maybe it was the part where I didn't list you as an emergency contact anymore. Still, I said nothing. I don't want money. I swear. I'm not calling for that. Her voice cracked. I don't know what to do anymore. I thought maybe we could talk. Maybe you could come by. There it was. The ask. I looked out over the gravel lot, watched the moths fight the floodlight like it owed them rent. She waited. I finally spoke. You picked a hell of a night to call me, Jen. She hesitated. Why? Because it's my birthday. Silence. Oh, she said. I forgot. I'm not mad, I said. Actually, this is the best gift you've ever given me. What? I could hear her blinking. You know that sound someone makes when they're stunned but trying to keep it together? She had it dialed in. Closure, I said. That's the gift. Hearing you this broken? Confused? Lost. That's the final stamp. She sniffled. Or maybe laughed. Or both. I deserve that, she whispered. Probably. A long pause. Then I said, You remember your cousin? Shelby. Yeah. She's taking me out tonight. For my birthday. Said she wanted to show me what a real weekend looks like. You could hear her heartbeat spike through the phone. I let it sink in. Don't worry, I added. No robes. No lodges. Just dinner. Wine. Something honest. She didn't speak. Then came the smallest voice I'd ever heard from her. Did you ever love me? I leaned against my truck, stared out into the night. Thought about all the ways I could answer that. Yes, I said. I loved the version of you that didn't need someone else's attention to feel alive. Silence again. Tell Shelby I said hi. She finally whispered. I will. Then I hung up. No goodbyes. No promises. No rage. Just the soft click of a chapter closing itself. I sat in the truck for a minute, let the silence wrap around me. Then I started the engine. Drove to the restaurant where Shelby was waiting. Now, before you ask, no, I didn't do it for revenge. Shelby had reached out 6 months ago. Said she felt awful about what happened. Said she always liked me better than the rest of the family. Said Jen had always taken people for granted, especially the ones who showed up. I hadn't planned on anything. But then again, life has a way of circling the drain right into poetic symmetry. Dinner with Shelby wasn't a plan. It was punctuation. She was waiting outside the restaurant. Simple dress. No pretense. Just a warm smile and a hug that didn't feel staged. You look good, she said. I feel finished. She raised an eyebrow. Finished. With a chapter, I said. That's all. We ate. Laughed a little. Didn't talk about Jen until dessert. And even then, it was short. She always needed an audience, Shelby said. She finally ran out of seats. We split the check. Walked out under string lights. The night air was clean. Clear. No motel phone calls. No sad apologies. Just a quiet kind of peace I hadn't tasted in years. She asked if I wanted to grab one more drink. I said yes. And that was the night my birthday finally meant something again. Not because I won. Not because I got even. But because I made it out with my name intact. You don't always get justice. But sometimes, you get silence. And that's louder than anything they could ever say. Revenge is never as clean as it looks on paper. That's something no one tells you when you're fantasizing about payback. When you're sitting in the dark with your fists clenched, imagining the perfect one-liner and the stunned face of the person who broke you. It feels righteous. Like a movie scene. Like the scales are finally going to balance. But then it happens. And it's not fire. It's ash. I got my moment. Jen got her lesson. And I got quiet. Not peace. Not happiness. Just quiet. The kind where your phone doesn't vibrate with angry voicemails. Where you wake up in a bed that's all yours. Sheets pulled tight. No scent but your own. Where the house creaks at night, and it's not sad. It's simple. Uncluttered. After my birthday with Shelby, I didn't hear from Jen for months. Not a text. Not an email. Not even a pocket dial. I figured she'd finally moved on. Or at least, found someone else to hold the bag for her. Maybe a bartender who thought he could fix her. Or an old friend from nursing school who still bought into the quirky broken girl routine. Good for them. I spent that fall reworking the shop. Painted the bays. Added a new hydraulic lift. Rachel finally got the front office she deserved. New desk, upgraded software, a chair that didn't squeak when you breathed near it. We got busier, too. Word spreads fast in a small town when you're the guy who survived a scandal without flipping tables. People respected it. Men nodded a little longer. Women brought their cars in and stayed a few extra minutes, asking about oil changes they didn't need yet. I didn't take advantage. Just smiled. Fixed what was broken. Sent them on their way. It was enough. Until March. That's when the letter came. No stamp. No envelope. Just a folded piece of paper left under the wiper blade of my truck, parked behind the shop. I spotted it right away. Too neat. Too deliberate. That kind of fold only comes from someone who sat there for a full minute debating whether to drop it off. I opened it. Mike, I'm leaving town. For good this time. Thought you deserved to know. I'm not asking for anything. I know I gave up my right to that. Just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not for what I lost. I earned that. But for what I almost ruined in you. You were never the one who broke anything. I just didn't know how to hold something that solid. I hope your life is quiet and full. And I hope someday I forget what I threw away. Because it's unbearable to remember it now. Jen. I stood there with the paper in my hand. Exhaust fan humming behind me. I didn't feel vindicated. Didn't feel triumphant. Just old. Because here's the truth they never tell you. You can win. You can outmaneuver them, expose them, destroy their backup plans, and watch them beg. But when it's done, there's no parade. Just the echo of a life that used to feel like home, now reduced to receipts, paperwork, and a motel whisper. I folded the letter once, slid it into my back pocket. Later that night, Shelby came over. We grilled steaks. Drank one glass of wine too many. She fell asleep with her head on my chest, and I didn't move for a full hour. Just listened to the dog breathing at the foot of the bed. Simple. That's what I wanted. What I fought for. Not revenge. Not dominance. Not internet drama points. Just the right to rebuild in silence. A few weeks later, someone told me Jen had moved to Montana. Took a job managing a roadside clinic. Cold winters. Quiet town. Probably the kind of place where no one knows what she did. Good. Let her start over. Because I'm done being a character in her story. My name's Mike. I run a shop, fix things that matter, and sleep like a man who left the door closed behind him. And her birthday? That's just a date on the calendar now. But mine? Mine is sacred. And this year, Shelby's taking me to Oregon. Subscribe to the channel